Hi there, guys. This is Miss Lovely Lovely back with yet a new episode. This will be episode number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and say that a lot of people are not going to like this video, and I'm sorry if you don't, and I'm sorry if it turns you off to my videos, but I really think that something needs to be said about this because it's getting, in my opinion, extraordinarily stupid. Now, none of the things I'm going to talk about are stupid, but I don't think that you are taking the right approach to this. So, this video is entitled, Black Lives Matter. How about All Lives Matter? See, here's the thing that kind of irks me about the Black Lives Matter movement. You have every right. You have every right to say Black Lives Matter. They absolutely do. I'll absolutely agree with you. Like, 110%. The issue I have is whenever some of your activists want to come out and say things such as, and this is an actual Black Lives Movement activist tweet. I'm actually going to list off a couple. When your members say something like this, it very much tears your movement apart. It's sad that a lot of you white people, because there's no way black people are praying for the people in France. You white people praying for France on the internet don't say a word when black people get murdered. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Okay, so how do you know that they haven't said anything? Have you scoured their Twitters, their Instagrams, their Facebooks, their Tumblrs, their MySpaces, if that's even still a thing? Have you checked all of those? Have you scoured every single post that they've ever made? So you cannot definitively sit there and say that they've never said that. You assume that they've never said that. Sorry, this is something that really gets under my skin whenever people... I hate it when somebody says that I said something when I didn't. So I'm sorry, I get kind of a little bit worked up whenever I hear somebody saying something about somebody that they may not have done. So anyway, so our next tweet is, terrorist attack in France. There goes hashtag Black Lives Matter. Yeah. When something current happens, it's the job of the news to report it. So when it happened, the news was going to cover it. Like, that's just how it's going to be. And I'm willing to bet that you would want them to do the same thing for you if something happened to a black person. So you'd want the news to cover it. Now, granted, there are a lot of things that don't get reported. I will give you that. But there are also a lot of things in the white community that happen. Murders and rape and just very deceitful doings of people that don't get reported either. If the news, like, that's why there are some news companies that go 24/7 just to make sure everybody gets all the information they need. There's 24-hour news outlets online. I mean, people are constantly reporting as much as they possibly can. Now, if they don't report exactly what you think needs to be reported when you think it needs to be reported, I'm sorry. But we're all fallen. We don't all, do what we need to do. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Before I get too worked up, I'm going to go ahead and finish off these tweets. Don't hashtag pray for Nice. We're fighting a civil war against whites. Hashtag BLM. Here's my issue with that. I guarantee that if this had happened to a BLM, a Black Lives Movement, that you would absolutely want people praying for you. And if there were people in France or Germany or Japan or wherever, you would want their prayers as well. Because prayer can be very powerful. Whether you believe in it or not, it gives people comfort to know that they're being thought of and lifted up in prayer. And some people look at it as one of the biggest things that you can do. So, when you say to not pray for another individual, another group, this has absolutely nothing to do with whites on blacks, blacks on whites, any of that crap. There were people who lost their lives. There were children who were killed These were innocent people, people who probably hadn't even done anything wrong. And yet they were maliciously and very grotesquely murdered. So I'm willing to bet that if this happened to one of your all's movements, you'd want the same thing. It was 84 people died, including children, when a semi-truck slammed into a celebration. They were celebrating France's national holiday, Bastille Day. And I'm willing to bet that if there were several, like if there was a whole big BLM, big group that decided that they wanted to all get together and celebrate 4th of July, which is our nation's holiday, and somebody decided to drive a semi-truck through that group, you would want prayers from other people. I'm very much willing to bet. So for you to sit there and say that you shouldn't pray for them, it's a little much. That's very disrespectful. It's one thing to be passionate for your individual group, but whenever you start attacking another, that's just not right. Let's see. The headline of this article that I found, I was actually told about this article, and when I looked it up, it very much infuriated me. But even more than infuriated me, it just made me sad that people view it this way. This was the name of the article. Black Lives Matter activists angry dead white people in France stealing their limelight. Because a lot of people were saying, you know, they're not going to talk about Black Lives Matter anymore. Why do you think that if they're reporting on something else, that just means that they're going to chuck that completely out the window? Why is that the first initial thing that you go to? I don't understand. I'm sorry, I just don't understand. All lives should matter. Like they all should. The black people want respect from the white people and every other demographic of people, right? Okay, so if you want that, then you need to treat those people with respect. You need to rise above all of the crap. Now, there are some really crappy white people, there's some really crappy German people, Asian people. I mean, there's just really crappy people, period. I don't care what nationality you are. If you're a jerk, it doesn't really matter if you're white, black, purple, green, blue. You're being a jerk. Period. So, how about instead of hashtag Black Lives Matter or hashtag White Lives Matter or hashtag, how about hashtag All Lives Matter? How about we try that one? I mean, sorry, just get a little passionate, a little irritated. This is ridiculous. It's just simply ridiculous. It really is. Because, yes, Black Lives Matter. We get it. Totally understandable. All lives matter. And if you do not feel like it's being reported on well enough, then you go to your local news stations, you go to citywide, nationwide, I don't care. You write and you get petitions and you get people to work towards writing these companies to talk about said subject. Like, if you really think it's that big of a deal, okay, then do that. Instead of sitting here and talking about how all these other people are taking away from our limelight. Oh, poor me. Really? People died. There are children who are never going to have their parents again. There are parents who are never going to have their children again. There are grandparents that are never going to see their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces and nephews who are never going to see their aunts and uncles again. I mean, the list goes on. And you're so worried about Black Lives Matter because the news isn't covering it? Okay, that's fine. But quit saying that we shouldn't pray for these people. They're going through their own version of hell, and you think that you're somehow more important? No, you're just as important as they are, and they are just as important as you are. Period. All lives matter. You wanted to talk about equal rights for everybody. Okay, you wanted the same rights as this group over here. That's great. All right, fine. You got them. How about you start acting like you actually want to be equal with everybody? You want to be greater than. You don't want to be equal, you want to be greater than. That's what you want. That's why you're getting out here and getting on your soapbox and talking about how Black Lives Matter, we're so much better. No, you're not. Period. And I don't care if people get mad that a little white girl is saying this. I really don't give a damn. I don't. Because it's so ridiculous, and I would be saying the exact same thing if white people were out here doing this crap. If tomorrow I find out that there's an article that came up recently, and now I know there's ones from the past, but there's also, you know, Black Lives Matter articles from the past too, but if I go out tomorrow and I hear that white people are now trying to do this, or they're trying to put down the Black Lives Matter movement, then I'm going to be irritated. I'm not putting down the movement whatsoever. I absolutely 110% support it. But you need to check some of your members before you wreck your whole movement. Because you get a couple bad apples in there, they're going to ruin it for all of you. And if you really want to inform people, then that's what you need to do. You need to stop making it all about a popularity freaking contest. That's not what it is. People in your group have died, and people in their group have died. And it is a very sad thing. So, mourn the loss of those people, and then after we get done mourning the loss of them, which is something that just recently happened, then we can go back to that. But how about you take 5 seconds outside of yourself and look at somebody else, just like you want them to look at you. Anyway, that's all I have to say on that subject. I say hashtag all lives matter. So whenever you do your Instagram post, or you do your Facebook post, or, you know, even your whisper posts, use hashtag all lives matter. But, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you around for episode 3. Bye.